Sup, my dudes? First of all, I'd like to say thank you for watching and subscribing. I didn't think this channel would ever become much more than a designated hosting zone for me and my 20 internet friends. So for that, I am truly humbled that you guys enjoy the things that I have to say. I'm especially honored that I could be a voice for the 3D animation and VFX community that speaks up against some of the darker things that occur in this industry. That being said, some of the comments I've received are surprisingly polarizing, especially with regards to the generative AI video, and by polarizing, I mean stupid and bad. So we're gonna do a classic responding to hate comments video. Alright, coming in hot with the AI debate slop. That data, the art that you have studied for years, is being stolen by you in the same way. You cannot and do not have explicit permission to learn from thousands of artists you've studied or even just seen. No one ever has, yet we happily share it back and forth. Indeed, if Kawa did not, art would be impossible. The same applies to any field. Engineering also requires years of learning and practice to be skillful. AI made something that inspired me this morning. It has been an excellent tool for many things artistic. Yes, AI can make slop, but then, so do humans. AI learns, follows from humans, so it makes what humans share with it and select from it. This means it is also regularly making fantastic and beautiful things. As the systems continue to improve and humans select the best outputs, the art only improves. I am myself an artist and embrace AI wholeheartedly. Ew. Alright, so first of all, you're wrong. Like, it's not even close. I love it when people just start saying stuff online without researching at all or even thinking about it for more than 5 seconds. I would have felt better if you just came in here with some blatant misinformation, because at least that would imply that you attempted to research something, but clearly you didn't, and you just started talking out of your ass immediately. Yes, artists do have permission to learn from and copy each other. That's how learning has worked for thousands of years. Do you think Da Vinci just started farting out perfect works of art from his asshole immediately upon deciding that he wanted to start making stuff? No, you dense motherfucker. Da Vinci had to learn, and Da Vinci had a teacher. Da Vinci and several other artists like Lorenzo di Credi all apprenticed under a man named Andrea del Verrocchio, who had his students copy his shit until they got good enough to implement their own styles. Also, apologies if I end up butchering any of these Italian names. I am personally Italian, but not Italian enough. His works were often also collaborative efforts between him and his students. There's also this famous quote from Florentine poet Ugolino Verino, I'm sorry, that says, "Whatever painters have that is good, they drank from Verrocchio's spring." Again, this conversation changes when you have this process automated by a machine that can learn from other artists at a rate of thousands of images an hour. No one's giving permission to that because it undermines the entire process of art. You are trying so hard to justify non-consensual AI scraping, aka stealing, and I just have to ask, why? Why are you like this? Well, I know why. It's because you're entitled and lazy, and honestly, it's really embarrassing. Girl, ew. This entire spiel and debate has been had with virtually every yeknology. In the art field, it was said of photography. After all, there is no real skill or merit in pointing and clicking. You were just collecting the light off of something that already exists. So it can never be artistic. It's just slop reproduction. We are reaching levels of mental gymnastics never thought possible. First of all, photography and painting serve entirely different purposes. Painting allows you to create moments that don't exist, things that only occur in your imagination. Sure, you can paint things that are real and directly in front of you, but the excitement of painting more so lies in your ability to interpret the things from your mind's eye. Photography is about capturing moments in real time. Wildlife photography captures an instance of a gorilla ambling down a forest floor. A wedding photographer captures the moment a bride says, "I do." AI will never replace photography because I'm not going to hire a prompt jockey to generate an image of my wedding that didn't happen. And yes, photography does take skill. What are you, stupid? You still have to understand lighting and composition and all of the horrible little f-stop and focal length settings on your camera. Anyone can point a camera and take a picture of something, but the difference between that and a real seasoned photographer is staggering. Here are some pictures I took, and here are some pictures that my photographer friend took. Do you understand? That's why painting and photography don't compete with each other. That's one we already figured out 100 years ago. AI does, however, compete directly with illustrators. It's not a new step in technology, it's a gentrified plagiarism machine, and it takes jobs. I've personally worked in 2 different studios now that use AI instead of hiring storyboard artists or concept artists, and now I know a lot of storyboarders and concept artists that are out of work. I don't think that's a coincidence. Anyway, stupid comment, lobotomized take. Next. Hi there, I'm a multimedia artist and writer, and you don't get to tell me I'm wrong for liking a tool that you don't like. Let's take a look at this guy's channel. Oh wow, it's all AI-generated thumbnails, who could have guessed? Where's the mixed media, huh? All I see is button-mashed slop. Next! You are boring. You're boring. You're boring. Your voice is monotone. No! I understand you passion for art, but what I do not understand is why you did this to your face. What's wrong with my face? The sentiment is good, but the reality is that staying true to herself ruined her life. She is young enough to restart at 32 and chalk her 20s up to a learning experience. It's what I did, so I understand. But this woman, 32 years old, wearing devil's horns and cosmetic face stickers, sitting in front of a wall with childish posters hung from it, living with her parents? Bless her parents' heart, they're wonderful people. But she will still live with her parents when she hits 50, and she'll be going from employer to employer if she hasn't managed to get blacklisted yet, because her main interest is criticizing her employers, blaming her tools, blaming the industry, and blaming the world. Yas, queen, stay true to yourself, girl. Be an adult, burden on your parents. Whoa, girl boss. Right, so I live with my mom at 33 years old. I've had a birthday since then, so I'm no longer 32. I live with my mom at 33 years old because my mom has breast cancer and I'm her full-time nurse and caretaker. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but I step up and do it without question because I love my mom. By the way, if you've been DMing me about possibly making a game or something, this is why I haven't responded. I kind of don't have time for it right now because of the cancer. What, you want me to start college again in this situation? Go to classes between doctor's appointments? Or what? For another degree I can use to wipe the doo-doo out of my butt? Why would taking out a second student loan work better than the first time I took out a student loan? What do you want me to do? Get a part-time job at McDonald's? Bro, she can't walk right now. I can't leave the house unless I hire somebody to watch her, which, guess what? I can't afford that. It's basically YouTube or nothing for me right now, and even if that weren't the case, my brother in Christ, the rock you live under must be nuclear bomb-proof. It's 2025. Gen Z and millennials can't afford houses. Even back when I was working, I still lived with my mom because I wasn't trying to piss away all of my hard-earned money on rent. In your 20s, 30s, and 40s, you either live with your parents or you have like 5 roommates that you split rent with, and none of them know how to flush the toilet or do the dishes. No one can afford property anymore. Are you slow? Also, the comments about my appearance and the childish shit I have in my room. I'm sorry you lost your whimsy a long time ago, but that sounds like a you problem. I'm gonna continue dressing the way I want, playing fun video games, and supporting the artists that I admire. I'm curious to know what being an adult means to you, because apparently it ain't learning to stand up for yourself and refusing to take any more from an extremely abusive industry. I guess I'm not an adult until I tear down all of my Undertale posters and replace them with like stock images of martinis or some and start dressing in a Hillary Clinton pantsuit while doom scrolling LinkedIn at night. Aw, shit, man, I'm sorry I'm so childish. I'm sorry every bad thing that's ever happened to me is because I play video games, despite being in the video game industry, you corporate America bootlicking cocksucker. Next! Hey, at least you're blessed with infinite beauty. I guess that just leaves OF as the final destination. Brother, let's be real, you can't even be a goddamn whore in this economy. OF is oversaturated. I probably make like, what, $100 a month maximum? Sorry, why we saying the R slur? Clicked off and unsubbed. What are we doing, lil bro? Uh-oh, somebody gonna have to make a content cop about me. Brother, you walked into the wrong neighborhood. I'm not a politically correct person, and I don't care about what you think is a slur. Is it a nice word? No, but neither is the word cocksucker.
But Mika, don't you care about using language that's harmful towards the neurodivergent community, you ableist pig?
When I was in the 5th grade, my mom got called into school to have a meeting with a bunch of my teachers because I was having problems expressing myself, showing normal emotions, and maintaining eye contact. For that, my mom said, "What are you trying to say? You trying to say my daughter's autistic?" "No, she ain't. That's for white people." And then she got me suspended. When I was a kid, I stacked and lined up my toys in a gradient based off of size and color. My entire YouTube recommended page is all Deltarune theory crafting videos and tornado documentaries. I still have problems with eye contact. I'm really skinny because I have a lot of issues with certain textures of food, and the feeling of a microfiber towel brings me into an incomprehensible rage. Am I formally diagnosed? No. Are we pretty sure? Oh yeah. I'm not going to a doctor because I hate doctors. What are they gonna do? Prescribe me some pills? They don't make pills for that. I took an online RADS test once when I was bored and I got a triple-digit score. That's enough confirmation for me. And regardless of all of that, I still don't care. Call me an edgelord if you want to. I don't care. I don't exist to appease your pearl clutching, waiting around like an ambush predator for someone to say a word that offends you so you can jump out and lecture them on a form of AdSense algorithm-based morality is pretty retarded behavior, and I suggest perhaps doing that somewhere else. Ugh, it's a pain listening to you. You talk as if the world would become paradise if it only listened to you. The world would absolutely be a paradise if everybody listened to me. Do you know what I would do if I were world president? 2 words. Femboy Hooters. I'd make it happen. I'd also make anime real. Government-mandated anime is real. This person looks like they work at Hot Topic. No! Oh, here's a fun one. I, as a software developer and educational author, had to train myself thousands of hours to be able to write open source code, tutorials, and educational books with my own 2 human hands. Now that data is being used without my consent in a way that undermines my own best interest. The question, why is it okay that you use ChatGPT to write your JavaScript? Why is it bad when I use ChatGPT to generate graphical elements for my own software? So when I used ChatGPT for help, keyword here being help, I didn't just copy and paste the code into GameMaker and move on. I ask it how to go about doing things, and I ask it why things work the way that they do. The goal here ultimately is to learn. I also had a coding teacher that I paid for with money because I believe in putting money into the environment to pay people for things that I don't know how to do. My coding teacher would give me weekly homework assignments, and sometimes I would get extremely stuck and I couldn't sleep knowing that my code wasn't working. So I would put my code into ChatGPT, and usually it was like a small variable spelling error, or the order in which I wrote the code out was incorrect. And if I did copy and paste anything, it would just be like placeholder math until I could talk to my tutor about it. I would ask it questions about the engine itself and like what were the best plugins to install and why do you need to put negative values to go upwards on the y-axis. I would ask it about general coding practices like what does a for loop do and what the hell is an iterator. Sometimes I would ask ChatGPT for a little coding puzzle to do to see if I could solve it if I felt like I didn't get enough homework that week and I wanted an extra challenge. I wasn't asking it to do the work for me. That's how you develop a crutch. You're trying to assume that I'm some sort of lazy button-mashing punk bitch, and it sounds like you're projecting. You're assuming I do that because that's probably what you do with AI art. You don't want to have to sit with your problems because that's probably too uncomfortable for you. I personally enjoy the process of learning. I think if there were like an equivalent way for learning art in ChatGPT, I would totally do it. Like if I could upload my artwork and ask for a critique and ChatGPT could tell me which ways I could improve, That would be really sick, actually. ChatGPT, can you make me a tutorial on how to paint fire real good? That'd be rad as hell. Not ChatGPT, can you generate me an image of Asgore Dreamer slamming his Bergen truck into Death's Holiday with a cool fiery explosion in the background, and do it now while I Alt-Tab to Marge Simpson Rule 34 and jack off. I'll say it once and I'll say it again. I'm not somebody who is strictly against AI. I think there are lots of fantastic uses for it and lots of ways to do it ethically, but mostly it's being used right now to fuck people over. Y'all some hating assholes trying to paint me as a hypocrite so damn bad. Sit down. The opening argument you denote as stupid is fair to call it such when you put it the way that you did. However, you discount where generative AI tools can assist people with disabilities who aren't able to gain the physical skills and coordination like you have. This is a YouTube comment, aka without value. I'm free to draw an extreme parallel. Consider the guy in the wheelchair. You wouldn't smash up a stairlift and tell them to get good, but by the sounds of it, you'd stifle the progression of AI in art to stop someone with cerebral palsy from being able to put their creative vision to a canvas. I don't condone prompt bros saying they are good illustrators or painters or what have you, but I think the tool and method is relevant. The creativity is in the mind and the ability to picture an outcome. That is why artists covers all forms of the creation of art. Mastery of an art form comes from understanding the concepts behind it, not necessarily the ability to create a physical embodiment of that knowledge. Excuses. John Callahan was an American cartoonist, artist, and musician who was quadriplegic. He found a way to make art anyway after regaining partial control of his upper body and figuring out how to use a pencil by clutching it between his two hands with what little motor coordination he had left. He then went on to use his ability to shitpost in the Portland newspaper for 27 years until his death in 2010. And this one's just anecdotal, but I went to high school and did AP art with a guy who had cerebral palsy. He was the only person in the class who actually submitted their portfolio for the AP art test. The rest of us just f***ed around the whole time because none of us respected the teacher. But I'm willing to bet that you don't actually give a shit about people who are quadriplegic or who have cerebral palsy. You're just using this argument to justify your own laziness. Go fuck yourself. For those unaware, always notice it's the artists who wasted a life making no real art, complaining about AI art, like this chick, regurgitating pop culture buzz terms and rehashing jokes from YouTube a decade ago. This kid sucks. I rules, and it already saving humanity. This chick will do nothing before the box. What's the box? What do you mean by that? So my art isn't real because I made it, but AI art is real because... Huh? Alright, let's take a look at his channel. Oh, what a surprise. It's all AI-generated songs and thumbnails. Who could have seen this coming? He's mad because he doesn't want his plagiarism machine taken away. Who could have guessed? Next! I wouldn't hire someone with lip rings. Okay, boomer. So for those who don't know, I'm gonna let you in on some really top secret information about artists that you're never gonna get anywhere else. Are you ready? Listen here, because, you know, this is rare information, okay? I could get in trouble for letting you know. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Artists are artsy. Bet you didn't know that one, huh? Artists love going hog wild with the IRL character creator, and this is pretty tame compared to some of the stuff that I've seen. The odds of you finding an artist without some sort of body modification or some very quirky way of getting dressed is very low. Most people either have unnaturally dyed hair, piercings, tattoos, or all of the above. Here's a picture of me wearing devil horns to work. Your boomer standards for what is considered proper workplace attire do not affect the art industry. I think I found your problem. You're lazy. You had bad grades, then tried to get into 3D and refused to do rigging. You closed a lot of doors. Some of you are so mentally deficient that it's actually incomprehensible. I said I had bad grades in high school when it didn't matter. When I got to art school, I was a tryhard, and I had excellent grades. Again, I never had issues finding work back when the industry was viable. I've never been denied a job because I didn't know how to rig. Anytime you're a character artist and your studio asks you if you can rig, they're just trying to get you to do extra work so they don't have to hire a rigger without paying you extra. I have a different slipped-on skill that other people refuse to do, and it's called knowing how to use XGen without it crashing every 15 minutes. Every time a studio finds out I can do action, I become the studio hair bitch, and then I have to do a bunch of extra grooms without additional pay so that the studio doesn't have to hire a character effects person. But yeah, sure bro, during those 16-hour days at Marvel Animation Studios, I was lazy because I didn't do any rigging for any of those hours. Sure thing, pal. You miss the point of the democratization of art through AI. With AI, even people who can't draw can make something that looks great. Without it, people need to spend thousands of hours to get good at it. That is the point. Yeah, and? No, I didn't miss the point. I just didn't address it because that's stupid. Time doesn't need to be democratized. Everybody has time. Unless you're on your deathbed, you have plenty of time. If you don't know how to manage your own time, that's a skill issue, my dude. If you don't pour time into learning how to make art, then you don't get to be an artist. Sorry. Just like I don't pour time into slurping as many glizzies as I can down my throat without blowing chunks so I don't get to be a hot dog eating champion. That's just how it is. Tough titty, man. Hey, you're great to listen to, and I'm a subscriber, but the anti-woke remarks here and there are kind of weird. You look too alt and cool to be repeating right-wing conservative talking points.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
What right-wing conservative talking points? Is this because I think DEI is stupid? Dog, that's not a conservative talking point. Every artist I talk to thinks DEI is stupid, and it has nothing to do with their political leanings. Look, when someone's telling me that DEI is necessary, it's like saying, hey look, you over there, the racially ambiguous woman. What are you, like, Mexican? Middle Eastern? Whatever, doesn't matter. Your art can never compete with that of a cis white man. So you need help. You need somebody to shoehorn you into the business to meet a quota because your work doesn't speak for itself. Call me crazy, but I think hiring practices should reflect merit and merit alone. And I don't ever want to be handed a handicap just because I'm a girl or mixed. We're living in a world where we're overcorrecting for the past in which women and minority groups were discriminated against. Now we have a bunch of people who are employed in positions that they're not qualified for, and it's really frustrating to have to work with somebody that doesn't know how to do their own job, especially when they're in a position of authority over you. They'll weaponize their incompetence against you through their now massive ego and start bullying you if you try to correct them. Real thing that happened to me, by the way. I'm just saying, if I were to open a studio, I wouldn't hire people because they were, like, gay. I would hire somebody because I believe in the work that they do. I don't think that makes me right-wing. I'm not right-wing. Honestly, my recommendation to anyone who needs money is to just become a right-wing rage-bait content creator. Moderately attractive white women talking about how women in games aren't sexy anymore. I think there's only one at the moment and she sorta sucks at it. This could be a real opportunity for you. I don't even think this one's a hate comment, or I guess it could be. It might be somebody, like, accusing me of being right-wing again, but I do think it's really funny.
Dear liberals, what in tarnation is wrong with y'all? Today I played the wokest game I've ever played in my life. It's a Metroidvania called Hollow Knight, and there weren't a single beautiful, busty, f***able women in it. Thems was all bugs. How am I supposed to relate to characters if they ain't goonable? God dang liberals always trying to shove bugs down my throat. I will not eat the bugs.
I agree with 100% of what you think of AI and how awful it is, but you lost me with the crack at diversity quotas and it gradually got worse from there. Non-binary people are cool and friendly, and all the ones I know IRL are extremely talented and fun to hang out with. They're not elites pushing for slop to be made and scolding people for making tiny mistakes. All the non-binary and trans people I know, myself included, are struggling and working retail to make rent and get away from their parents like all of us, terrified of AI ruining their job prospects to the point where a lot of them are demotivated from even considering art school. Toilet paper degrees indeed, and mostly doing stuff for fun in the local scene. By the way, Disney is actively cutting trans/NB representation from stuff because they're scared of offending conservatives. It is insanely hard for queer people to make it in both the art and music industries, let alone tell the stories they want to tell. They face so much scrutiny and gatekeeping and business suit types telling them to water themselves down. I know this from experience. I realize you might have had a bad experience with people being oversensitive and reporting each other to HR, but I feel like a massive big bucks media company full of red tape shouldn't be telling stories about queer people unless it's being made by queer people. Otherwise, it's very easy to see it for what it is. Hollow, fellow kids style pandering that fumbles at what it intends to do. Snowflake and Safe Space come to mind. Meanwhile, you can look at a project from an indie team like Mandelbrot Hall and immediately see that it's genuine representation by and for queer people, not concerned with mass market appeal and tiptoeing around foreign markets and investors that need to be kept happy.
Bitch, nobody's trying to be homophobic. I'm just tired of getting written up to HR every time I misgender the extremely female-presenting fictional video game character. It's extremely stressful to have to walk on eggshells every time I go to work.
Do you know why stuff like Dragon Age the Veilguard doesn't do well? I'm gonna give you a hint. It's not the non-binary representation. It's the writing. Every time mainstream Hollywood or a AAA game studio writes a queer character, it's laid on so incomprehensibly thick and it makes people cringe to death. That's why representation is getting pulled. It's not because people are being homophobic, it's because nobody knows how to write these characters. But there are successful instances of representation. This is Chris Dreamer from my all-time favorite video game, Deltarune. What gender is Chris? I don't know. Every other character when talking about Chris refers to Chris as a they or them. That's it. That's how you do it. That's all you need to do. Don't pretend Deltarune doesn't exist, and don't pretend Celeste doesn't exist. You don't need to do the Veilguard thing where one of the characters has an entire coming out at dinner to their parents scene so that the person writing it can trauma dump about a time where this actually happened in their actual personal life. Like, holy shit, bitch, get therapy. You don't need to ruin an entire video game franchise with your self-flagellating tragic anime backstory, and I don't mean you, I mean the person who did the non-binary self-insert character in Dragon Age. Them. That person. You said as much in your comment that good indie representation exists, so like, what do you want? We agree. I'm so confused. You want more queer people in the art industry? I know a shitload of queer people in the art industry. What are you talking about? I'd say like a solid half of the people I've met in the art industry are queer. So that's like an over-representation considering about 1% of the entire world population is queer. Or at least I did know a bunch of queer people in the industry. Everybody got fired, and I don't mean just the gays. One of my queer friends was like one of the last people to get laid off from this studio that they worked at for like, what, 5 years? God, this is like so much writing. I'm not even gonna read the rest of this comment. I think that's enough stupid potion for the day. I better stop before I get like liver damage or something. Alright, that's about as much as I can tolerate for now. Feel free to leave even more hate comments as I've probably pissed off even more people through this video. Just a quick heads up, I fully intend on making this channel a do whatever I want, make a video on whatever I want sort of channel. I don't want to just get pigeonholed into making art content or bitching about AI. So the next video will probably be like a story time type deal because a lot of people seem to be interested in the time I got divorced because the guy I was married to slowly turned into a Holocaust denier, and I needed to get out of that situation. So see you next time. Bye-bye. I love you. Say it back.